zero?
We're both at the same radio station. We're both going to record it to redundancy just in case.
There you go. Great.
The way we have it.
Terrific.
So
Okay.
history teaches us.
You played a pilot in Oklahoma. Now you're kind of ticked off in the center of Oklahoma. Talk about your cause and why you're here.
It's not just Tom. It's the Republicans have all stood together and stopped this omnibus bill that happens to include the Biden-Obama Protect Act of 2008, which the National Association to Protect Children, on which I'm on the board with, drafted with Biden's office a year and a half ago, and we passed it with flying colors in the House. Obama signed on, and the thing slid through, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz carried the bill, and Joe Barton from Texas. And for some reason, Coburn puts a hold on every bill that costs money. I know his reason is that it costs money, but let me describe to you why we call this bill child rescue. Law enforcement has software that allows them to know where 750,000 computers are right now that are trading child porn. They're invited into their hard drives. They can see the worst of the worst and the egregious images, and they can investigate less than 2% of the 750,000 leads, and 40% of the time that they get the subpoena and go to the home address and knock on the door, there's a rape and tape in the basement. They rescue a child 40% of the time. If there's some other combinations of images that, as they triage these hard drives, that they can put together a formula that 100% of the time they go to the door and it's a child rescue. 96% of child molestation in the United States is done by members of the child's family or their closest inner circle of trust. Making child pornography in this country, not the big industry that is in the 95 other countries where it's legal. Here it's a mom and pop cottage industry. So basically it's parents and step-parents doing their children in the basement and filming it and trading it online. And they can be got. What this bill does is put resources in the hands of law enforcement, because law enforcement is already ready to go and get them, and they don't have the money. There's not enough forensic labs to do it. The forensic labs aren't dedicated. So if a guy's been waiting in line for 3 weeks to get a hard drive stripped, and somebody walks through a Walmart in a turban, they go to the head of the line, and the hard drive gets dropped back. So getting this bill is being, I know political football is a tired cliche, but right now the Republican ideology of we're not passing it if you can't pay for it is causing conservatively 250,000 child rapes to continue at this very moment.
Now, by Dr. Coburn's own admission, Dr. Coburn has said many times that a lot of these bills that he is intentionally holding up are bills that he would pass, that he would support, he would favor if there is just a mechanism in place for funding them. Is it that simple?
I don't understand his rationale with this bill. It's $1 billion over 8 years. I'm sorry, that's just not much money. They've got it laying around. Believe me.
Is there a way to come up with better ways to pay for these kinds of things? Because I think that's kind of the argument. It is take from here, take from there.
Well, the way this works is this is an authorization bill. Our job is to find a way to pay for it next year. You pass the authorization bill this year, you pass the appropriations next year. Many bills, such as Jessica's Law, was passed and never funded. So, there's still ways they can beat us when it comes to the money. But let's get the authorization thing on the books. And then we, as an association, will go to work with Biden, with Obama, with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, with Joe Barton from Texas, with Orrin Hatch, who signed on to the bill, and go to work and get the thing appropriated.
Final question for you, David Keefe. I know that most people, upon hearing about this piece of legislation, would favor it, support it. Seems like a great idea. But specifically, why you? What's your interest in this?
It's the worst thing in the world. There is nothing worse that happens on this planet than the rape and torture of babies for sexual pleasure. There's nothing worse, by definition. Either one of you, can you come up with anything worse? There you go.
Actor David Keefe. Any projects you're working on as far as your Hollywood career?
I got the season premiere of CSI Miami coming up September 22nd, and I'm completing a film called The Way of the Dolphin, a family film where I get to do open ocean swims with dolphins, which is one of the greatest things I've ever experienced.
We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.